Alright, hello and welcome to Echoes of Color with Jeffery Morrison. How's it going? We're going to do a whip and chat here with Paint with Diamonds, The Battle Ahead by Lothar Dietrich, 60 centimeters by 45 centimeters, square drill, 47 colors, slam a picture around here. And yeah, we'll just like dive right in kind of thing. Alright, how's it going? Hopefully you're having a good day. Good start to the week so far, kind of thing. I'm back on days at my full-time job, so yep, I just work Wednesday, Thursday this week. Yeah, to get all switched around. But yeah, we'll hang out for a bit. Capital C we were doing, right? Okay, it's a bit of background here. Yeah, alright. Yeah, so I finished reading the first Game of Thrones book. It was alright. Kind of a nice introduction to characters. And yeah, I think it just automatically just keeps going. Right through the other books, so it's the first time I've actually managed to read through the Game of Thrones book. I had started reading it numerous times, but just never got through it completely. Then suddenly on the exercise bike or the treadmill, I was able to read through it, so yeah. Probably because I could focus a lot more on the exercise bike. Yeah, so I do kind of have like a box set. I have 2 copies of the Game of Thrones book, like the first book. A friend of mine gave me a copy, and I hadn't realized that I had purchased a box set of the first 4 books, I believe, of the Song of Ice and Fire. That, yeah, the Game of Thrones series. So, yeah. I'll just have a nice unread copy in the box set that I have of the Game of Thrones, the first book. And I'll just eventually get into the second books and go from there. Yeah, so I have a Dance with Dragons as well, so that's the 5th book, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if there's any more books after that in the main series. I know there's like prequels and stuff. Song of Fire and Blood or something, but it's a prequel. Yeah, so I don't know, I'll just take my time. Still, yeah, I made it through Game of Thrones. I had been reading like a historical mystery kind of book, finished that. Yeah, made it through. So I just have Mistborn left. I've been kind of putting that one off because it seems very slow. It seems like a very slow kind of read. Not much is happening really. It just seems like the characters, it's a lot of conversations. I don't know. Something about that, and it's like the Mistborn trilogy or whatever. It's a box set as well. It's like a trilogy of books. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna pick up or not. Kind of some parts that are really interesting, and then it just slows down to a halt for some conversations or something, or just something in that book just feels repetitive, almost like the author's like stalling the plot just to fill out a just to have like a first book or something. I don't know, it just feels kind of stilted. I don't know. It kind of fantasy mixed with kind of magic and stuff. I can't say it's kind of like steampunk, but I don't know, it's a world all its own. But I don't know, it just feels like it kind of like a struggle to read through that one. I don't know, I've been reading it in snippets. I want to like it, like, just want to be a Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings reader, and then that's all I read for fantasy. I kind of want to dive into different facets of fantasy, not just for reading, that is. It's like, I don't know, I just don't want to stick to one author. Just be stuck and say, hey, yep, I'm reading fantasy. There you go, fam. Yay. And such a prolific reader. It doesn't sound very realistic. I still have to read Return of the King, the third book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah, I still have that, so I can grab that anytime and just read it. I don't read any series like back to back to be realistic. Yeah, I don't know. No. I don't know. It must be a successful series somewhat. This Mistborn, the Brandon Sanderson, I think, is the author. Or Brandon Sanderson. I don't know what I said before. It takes place in the same universe as the Oathkeeper series, I think. Distant Future or something. I don't know, their universes are connected somehow. I think it's Brandon Sanderson. It's been a while. I'll keep prodding my way through Mistborn. I don't know, just interesting in some parts, and then it just seems to become a sleep aid in some other parts. I don't know. Pacing is kind of jarring. But what book is perfect per se? I like detail and stuff while reading fantasy. And science fiction. That's why I like reading it. This is basically world building on a page, which can be tricky to do, but I don't know. If you have to struggle to read through something, it's kind of feels like you're wasting time reading something when you could be having a great time reading a book you actually enjoy. Yikes. Yeah, the whole Game of Thrones reading thing, I was probably just distracted so easily. I can't read books while lying in bed. I'd have to be on the treadmill or something. Yeah. I've just been on the exercise bike a lot lately. Just an easy way to get kilometers for my virtual challenges. So I don't know, I'm kind of distracting myself by riding on the exercise bike. Or, as I've been saying, it's boosted my focus to be able to read on the exercise bike. Like, I can actually focus on the book and read a lot more than I could just sitting in a chair or something. Because I know I'm making progress towards my fitness challenges. The longer I'm on that bike, the more kilometers or miles I accumulate. And the sooner I finish or make progress on my virtual challenges. The multitasking in a way. Yeah, just by indoor biking. Like a stationary exercise bike. Yeah. So that's kind of why I mention that what book I'm reading. Yeah, I go over this every once in a while for just to talk about something. Yeah, I probably get stuck on the same topic, just updating that, but I'm not gonna say this is going to turn into a book report channel or reading Rainbow or anything, but yeah. I know, just it's kind of a form of escapism. Keeps me busy and alert. Just reading on the exercise bike or the treadmill. I haven't been on the treadmill in a bit. About the same as like walking around, but you're just doing it in a concentrated spot. Yeah. Oh well. Good thing I have a few cover minders. I'm using like 3 of them to keep these cover sheets back, because it's like opaque kind of cover paper. So yeah, just using 3 cover minders to keep the cover paper back while I'm working on this section here. Like, I'm done down here, like I'm done the lower sections, but I just keep the cover paper back and kind of held down by the magnets. Oh. Yeah, so instead of like a single plastic sheet, it's a series of strips on this for this canvas. I think I have a few more canvases that have this opaque paper on, and they're probably in strips as well, I imagine. These Paint with Diamonds canvases, that is. So I have a few more of these Paint with Diamonds canvases, but yeah, I just mainly got permission from the artist to do this canvas on YouTube to be able to diamond paint it. Yeah. Yeah, because the artist isn't mentioned on the canvases. It's just the legend and the picture of what the canvas is. And there's social media, like Paint with Diamonds, we're talking here. Yeah, but no mention of the artist or whatever for the picture. Yeah, it's just eek. Oh well, it is what it is, but yeah, I guess I kind of think ahead once I'm of what canvas I'm going to do next for a WIP. Nearly halfway through the present one. Or maybe it's as I go, kind of thinking in the back of my mind for a bit. Yeah, before I actually really look at my stash and just decide what I want to do next. I'm not going to sit here and have like a day planner and just map it all out. I'm not one who's going to be doing multiple canvases at once. I just don't have the space or the storage to hold the drills for more than one kit. I could if I really wanted to, but I don't know. I just have this drafting table and I can really only diamond paint out in the studio because of my cat Axel. He'd get onto the canvas and yeah, cat hair like nothing, or he'd do something to the drills. Yeah. So yeah, my cat can't be out here in the studio anyway. My mom's just like, no, don't want the cat out here. Axel does run in here on occasion. He does manage to sneak out, but yeah, it's a couple minutes hiding under the shelves in the studio here, and then he's back in the house because carry him in back into where he's supposed to be. And he's indoor. He's an indoor cat, so yeah, I almost dread the thought of Axel running outside. I'm not sure what he'd do. I don't know if he bolt or not, or yeah. It is basically highway, like highway property. It's like a 2-lane, very busy highway, just a few meters away from our front door, like down the driveway. I'm not sure what he'd do if he ever managed to get outside. I'd dread the thought. We've had cats like years ago that just were indoor, but they ran out into the street and yeah, managed to get hit by a car or something. And yeah, it's I just keep flashing back to animals getting hit by cars in general, and that just makes me shudder a bit. Yeah, I don't want to see an animal hurt in that way, or a pet. Like, especially a cat or like just an animal getting hit by a car. I know roadkill is like a fact of life because some people just keep driving, or sometimes you just don't notice something come up onto the road. It could be dark. That's usually main reasoning, but I don't know, it just hurts that much more with like a house cat or something, or a pet. If it gets out and runs out to the road, it probably doesn't know better than an outdoor pet. Oh, excuse me, cat mainly. A dog, you can train it to not be on a leash, but generally if you're taking your pet out to public to walk in the park or something, they want you to have a leash on your pet, just as a general policy and like safety, because probably not everybody's really too excited about dogs, like kind of maybe afraid of dogs. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with being afraid of dogs. Like if it's like a big dog or a very energetic dog and it's like starts jumping up on me or barking just out of nowhere, it kind of makes me, yeah, it kind of makes me jump a bit. Not that I'm afraid of dogs, it's just sudden loud noises or movements. They don't want to touch somebody else's dog or anything. Like, you always seem to have to ask. Well, it's appropriate to ask before touching somebody else's pet, which I'm fine with. Like, I've run into tons of friendly dogs. Like, I don't have problem with a dog. We had a husky all those years ago. She passed away of age, but I don't know, some people just get very upset if you even suggest touching their pet or something. It just seems like a very tenuous issue to me. It's like I'd rather not have anything to do with a dog if I run into one, unless I really know the people that own the dog. Not that the owners like are harming the dog or anything, like nothing like that, but it's just like if you're, I don't know, borrowing somebody's lawnmower, for example, there's kind of like a trust or certain understanding that you're not going to throw it into a lake or something. Like, you're going to treat it with respect and it's going to come back in the same condition that you borrowed it, kind of thing. But for like a dog, the dog can get along with their owners and all that, but maybe not be so good around people. And that just might create an awkward situation, kind of thing. That's kind of what goes through my head sometimes. With even like a friendly dog, I just always have to ask, look around and ask the owners directly if I could pet their dog. Yeah. Just don't go up and pet an animal, even if it has a collar and a name tag on. Like, if it's blatantly owned by somebody, I just always ask. But there are some dogs that just can bark out of nowhere. Like, I watched my brother's dog when he was out of country, like last summer, and his dog just barks randomly. I just had to be at his house and I had the door open for the vast majority of the day, and the dog just could go out whenever. I could never manage to get his dog walked, so I just left the door open. Yeah, dog's just not used to me. Like, to walk his dog, my brother's dog, there's sort of a harness to put on. But yeah, dog was just never really too enthused to go for walks with me. I don't know, I chased the dog around the house or whatever. I did play with the dog, but just kind of left his dog to its own devices. I was just around. I had left the house on occasion to go run errands for that week that I had off, like that last summer. But yeah. Yeah, not that I dislike dogs. I had a dog years ago, But yeah, I'm just awkward around dogs that are not my own. Yeah, I don't hate dogs. It's just I get a little uncomfortable around some dogs. Because usually if a dog starts barking in a house, it gets naturally excited because somebody's at the door, like it's watching for people coming to the front door. My mom has a friend that has a small dog, and it can jump. It's kind of like a wishbone type of dog. A terrier of some sort. I don't know all the dog types, but really noisy, barking kind of dog. That kind of bugs me in a sense too. Like just barking just to bark. But it's a dog, I know, but just sudden ear-piercing barking out of nowhere, and then it takes like a bit for the dog to settle down. That kind of bugs me. It's like you don't want to provoke the dog or anything to start barking. Yeah, just just eventually leads to yelling or whatever, yelling at the dog to stop or trying to calm it down. I don't know. It's kind of like if a child is like acting out in a supermarket, a child that isn't yours, and the child is just having an emotional breakdown, like just losing it in the grocery store because they're not getting some Fruit Loop cereal or something. Like, you want, subconsciously, everybody's like, can you kind of quiet your child down? You're kind of, yeah, disturbing the peace here. But you really can't react. I'm sure somebody would just like eventually just snap at the child and tell it to stop, but in the back of everybody's mind, I'm sure that people would just love to say, don't do that to the child. But everybody else can't do that. The parent has to either kind of let it ride out somehow or just somehow deal with the situation themselves, because yeah, the world can't parent a child that isn't theirs to an extent. I don't know, just public outbursts like that. Yes, as a young child, their emotions and all that are developing, like, yeah, of course, but if you just kind of resign or just like watch the child just have an emotional outburst all the time and not really react to it, yeah, it's gonna upset a lot of people all the time if it just keeps happening. But yeah, kind of comparing that, a child to a dog, but just for the noise outburst kind of reasoning, like, there's a big difference between a child and a dog, like, obviously. But just the noise reference or just the sudden acting out kind of thing. Like, you can't really control somebody else's dog or tell a dog to stop, tell somebody else's dog to stop, or tell somebody else's child to calm down. Everything's fine. Yeah. It's just more awkwardness. But yeah. Yeah. What can you do, really? But anyway, you've been watching Echoes of Color with Jeffery Morrison. Down below in the description, I put my Facebook profile name, my Echoes of Color Facebook business page. It's really just a website within Facebook. And my Instagram. All three I just try to update simultaneously, just if I finish this section, for instance. Yeah. that kind of thing. Yeah, just a quick update, and then I just move on to the next section. Or if I'm about to start a new WIP, work in progress, in other words. Yeah, I kind of post a picture of it kitted up. Yeah, it's just every once in a while. It's not constant kind of thing. But yeah, I also post a walking challenge info for Conqueror and Pacer down below. Just information purposes only. I'm not, I won't get a commission, or I won't make anything by anybody clicking on the main website links. It takes you to the main websites for Conqueror and Pacer respectively. Yeah. And I just mentioned what I'm doing. Great Wall and Return of the King trilogy for Lord of the Rings. Aragorn's kind of part in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. La-di-da. Yeah, his role in that whole trilogy. And then, yeah, Great Wall of China. Yeah. And then Pacer's Silk Road. So I'm almost near that 3,000 kilometer mark for Silk Road for Pacer. Then I'll have like 800 more kilometers to go after I hit 3,000 for 3,800 kilometers total to get that medal. Then I'm not sure what to do after. But other than that, take care. All the best with your crafting endeavors. Yeah, my little rant is not, I don't hate children, I don't hate dogs. It's just there are some situations in public that you get into, everybody encounters it, and you can't really do too much about a noisy dog or a child that's having a meltdown in a store, for example. Yeah, it's just those I find are really awkward situations. That's all that really was. All right. See you next time.